Hey, what's going on guys? Joe here with Backcountry Treks. I want to talk about some pieces of gear or items today that I bring with and use on every single backpacking trip. No, I'm not talking about the big three or anything real obvious that you need to go backpacking. So stick around and let's check them out. The first piece of gear I want to talk about on this list is my Garmin InReach Mini. There are three main reasons that I bring this with me on every trip. Number one, if I needed emergency responders for any kind of emergency situation, there's an SOS button, you hold it in for 30 seconds, it'll send that signal out and allows me to communicate via text message with those first responders while they're en route to my location. That brings me to reason number two that I like this, and that is that I can send and receive text messages anywhere on the globe. If you're in a really heavy tree canopy and the evergreens are real thick above you or the leaves are real thick and you can't see the sky, it may struggle a little bit to get the signal out. But this thing so far has never failed me. The other really cool feature that I like about this is that I can request to receive an hour-by-hour weather update specific to the location that I'm at. Alright, item number two on the list is the always popular Zseat. If you're not familiar with what this is, it's just a closed cell phone pad for your butt. This is really popular. Most people that are backpacking do have these and use these. I love any piece of gear that I can get multiple uses out of, like this one. Obviously, you can use it as a sit pad. I typically fold it in half and get double the padding. I use this thing to fan the fire instead of blowing on it. Really does a really great job of that. I use it as a windscreen if I'm using my propane stove instead of my alcohol stove, and obviously if it's windy out, just be careful not to get this too close to the fire or your stove, as it will obviously melt. I also like using this to stand on when I'm changing if the ground is wet or muddy in any way. So this gets used, of course, on every trip, and for that reason comes with me always. Next item up on the list are these little fire starter blocks. I get these at Walmart. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at any outdoor store, I'm sure. The last thing I want to do, particularly in damp or unfavorable wet conditions, is mess around with trying to get a fire lit. All I want to do is get a fire going, get my camp set up, eat, and relax. So if I'm going out for a 3-night, 4-day adventure, I'll typically bring one of these for each night. Whether or not I use them each night is a different story. If the conditions are dry enough, obviously I'll save it, but I have been able to get fires started in really wet, unfavorable conditions with these things with little to no hassle. All right, item number 4 on the list. Some people like these, some people do not. I am a huge fan of dude wipes or some kind of biodegradable, non-scented wipe for all my trips. Body odor, oil, grease, sweat, dude wipes for all your dude and dudette parts. All right, the next item I want to talk about quickly that I always bring and use is just a simple hanky. I am a hardcore sweater. I don't know if it's the Italian in me or what, but my eyebrows fill up with sweat and will just perpetually drip into my eyes all day long. So I love having this thing hanging right here. I can just pull it up, wipe the sweat off my brow, and don't struggle with my eyes burning all day. I don't know why, but for me that's like a problem. The other thing I like to use a hanky for is if I have a misfire with one of my snot rockets. I know that's kind of gross, but it's a lot more gross having some unwanted shit on your lips. I am careful not to use the same side that I wipe my sweat away with as I do for snot rocket misfires. On 1 or 2 trips I've forgotten this thing and really regretted it. One of them was actually in the winter and didn't think I would need it. But I did end up sweating enough that I was really missing this. So I always bring this with on every single trip. All right, the last and final piece of gear I want to talk about is this little pouch koozie that I made. It's made out of a Reflectix that you put in the windshield of a car, just cut down. Put some Velcro on it. I dehydrate a lot of my own meals or repackage a lot of my Mountain House meals if I'm using those. So to help with the rehydration process, I'll just throw it in here, particularly if it's cold out. It packs down super flat. Great little item. You could technically use this as a sit pad or fan the fire or do any of that kind of stuff too, but this comes with and gets used on every single trip. All right guys, well that's it for today's video. If you found any value or like this at all, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing. Also, I'd love to hear from you in the comments section. What are some favorite pieces of gear that you always bring with on every trip? I'm a huge nerd about backpacking gear and items, so I like getting ideas. I like watching other people's videos, all that kind of stuff. So also do my best to respond to any comments that you guys leave. Thanks again for checking out Backcountry Treks, and as always, I will see you on the next one.